Blender Essential Tutorial. So now we are on our chapter number 10, where I'll be showing you guys how you will be able to work with pivots, snapping, and the proportional editing. Okay, so first I'll be telling you about the pivots, and also after that I'll be telling you how you will be able to snap your object over here. Okay, in the vertexes we'll be learning about that, and also how you will be able to do some proportional editing. Okay, so we'll be actually exploring a lot here in this particular chapter. So let's not waste time and let's get started. So over here, as you guys can see, now I'm here in the workspace of the Blender. So from here, as you guys can see, I do have my objects right over here, and also here in the offset panel, I do have all of these options. Okay, so to make you guys know about the pivots, for me, I will go in the up view. Okay, so for that I will come here, click on this vertex, and I will just click on this Z option, and over here I will just delete all the other ones. So I will come here, I'll delete this one. Let's come here and let's delete this camera as well. So now select this one, and now you guys can actually duplicate. So you guys click on Shift and D. Okay, so come here, let's click on this option, let's click on G to move around. So I will bring one over here, and also again what I'll do is I will click on Shift D, and I will just place it right over here, and again Shift D to place it right over here once again. And also I can basically do without maintaining a line. So I will come here, let's select this one, let's Shift D, and over here you guys can see now I do have more objects right over here. So now let's click here, let's click on this particular option, Shift and D, and here you guys can see now I do have different copies of different type of cubes right over here. Okay, so you guys can basically see that over here in my offset panel as well. So the first thing what you will be able to do is, let's say if you come here and let's select all of it. Okay, so once you select all of this, and now if you try to give this thing a rotation, let's click on R from my keyboard, and now here you guys can see once I am trying to give this one up a rotation, it is basically rotating from this particular place. Okay, so because over here in my pivot option, it is selected by default as the median point. Okay, so what the median point is, let's say over here I do have different object. Okay, so over here what they do is they do create a unseen bounding box. Okay, so over here that is basically the medium, or that is just the center once you put all of this thing inside a bounding box. So over here they will just make which one is the center, and you will be able to rotate this accordingly. If I come here, if I click on R from this particular end, you guys can see it's just giving this thing up a rotation. So come here, click on this option, and under pivots I also do have different option. Okay, so over here now if I just create a bounding box, it is also kind of the same. Over here it will just create a basic center, and from that particular center what they'll do is they will give this thing up a rotation. Okay, so this one was about the bounding box, and now let's come here, and over here you guys can actually rotate all of these things from a 3D cursor. Okay, so from here you guys can see at this time my 3D cursor is basically present over here, and now in my pivots, so now if I select the 3D cursor, okay, now if I try to give this one a rotation, you guys can see now from here at this particular center, I am able to give this one up a rotation. Okay, so you guys can actually change the positioning of this particular 3D cursor. Okay, and now let's say if you come here and if you want to go with the active element option. Okay, so now if I just select the active element option, and from here basically I will be able to select from which one actually it will give this one up a rotation. So now if I come here and if I click on Shift, and if I just select this one over here, let's say if I come here, let's click on Shift, and now if I just give this thing up a rotation, now let's come here, let's go back, now let's select all of it, and what I'm going to do is I am going to come here, and over here this is basically the active element. And now from here you guys can basically see from this particular part my things are actually getting a rotation. Okay, and if you want to scale it up here as well, if you just click on S, okay, so from here basically you guys can see it is basically scaling from this particular part here itself. So I can just decrease the size, and over here that is the usage of the bounding box center, the 3D cursor, and also the active element and also the median point. Okay, so this was about all of these things, and lastly we'll be learning about individual origins. Okay, so if I come here, let's select all of it, and from here now once I have selected the individual origins, what it will do is it will individually increase the size, or it will individually give all of this thing up a rotation. Okay, so if I come here, click on R, and here you guys can see now individually all of these things are giving a rotation right over here. So you guys can come here and give this one up a rotation quite like this. Okay, so you guys can come here and use these basic pivot points. So these are the transformation pivot point right from here. Okay, so now let's come here and let's try to select all of it and let's delete. Okay, so once you have deleted, click on Shift A from your keyboard, and from here you guys will be able to add this particular cube. Okay, so over here I do have added this particular cube, and now we will be learning about the snap option right over here. Okay, so under snapping you do have the increment, which will be applied as default over here. So basically now from here, if I do want to give this thing up a rotation, I can come here and basically I will be able to give this thing up a rotation from here as well. And now if you want to actually select this cursor and move it to keyboard, and now just select in any part. Okay, you can come here, say I will just click on this option, I will click on the shift, or let's say I will just select shift over here, and if you want to move it, you guys can come here, select this one and move it right over here as well. Okay, and now from here if you basically want to select anything, okay, suppose let's say if I want to create any kind of other object, I will be able to do that right from here. Okay, so now once I do have my 3D cursor over here, the first thing I will click on is Shift A, and from mesh I will click on to this plane option. Okay, so once I have clicked on this particular option, I will click on Alt and G. Okay, so to basically bring this one over here. Okay, so now over here if I want to increase the size, so I will click on S, and now I can basically increase the size quite like this. Okay, so I will just increase the size quite over here, and now once I have selected this, I want to over here, if I want to bring this 3D cursor again here at the center. Okay, so what I'll do is I will click on Shift and S. Okay, so I will click Shift and S, and from here I will select the cursor to world origin. Okay, so I will click over here, and now you guys can see my 3D cursor is again at the center. So now let's move the x-axis right from here. Okay, so now once I do have this thing, now let's select this particular thing right over here, this middle cube. Okay, now what you'll be able to do is if you click on G, okay, so if you try to move, okay, here in one corner, okay, so if you come here and if you try to move, you guys will be able to move it here in any vertex as well. So if you come here, let's say if you want to put it over here on top, you guys will be able to do that. If you want to put it down, you guys can basically put it down over here as well. Okay, so now let's come here, and if you are not able to snap properly, okay, so in that case again what you can do is you guys can come here, let's go to the vertex option, but from here what I'll be able to do is I will select the center option. Okay, so I will select the center option, and now I will come here, and now let's try to move it up. Okay, so let's come here, let's select G, and now if you come here in this particular corners, you guys can see how it actually works. Okay, so this one is coming down. If you want to align it to the sides, you guys will be able to align it on the sides as well. So now for now, let's just put it right over here. If you want to see a view, okay, in all the sides, you guys can basically see the view from all the sides here as well. Okay, so now let's place it right over here. So right over here, I will come on top and I'll just on the snapping. Okay, so as I have created and this one is in the vertex format, I will come here and I will click on G, and whenever I am coming to any of the corner, it is actually taking this corner accordingly. Okay, so it is getting attached to the corners right over here. So if you guys want to see, if you come here, here also you guys can see how it actually snaps. Okay, so you guys can come here and basically snap this thing around. But let's say now you are not able to snap the way you want it. Okay, so now you are not able to snap the way you want it to do. So for that, now let's give this thing up a rotation from here again. Okay, so now let's keep this thing right over here in the middle. So now over here, let's try to get a view from here in one side. Okay, so now if I just place it right over here, and again, if I want to snap it in all sides, I can basically do that from here as well. So how you will be able to do that? So now let's come here and let's see. Let's say I want to snap it here on top. Okay, so there are two different ways. Let's come here, and from closest I will go to the center option. Okay, and I'll just keep this one as vertex as well. Okay, so now let's click on G, and now here if you want to move here, you guys can see it will basically snap on the side. Okay, so you guys can just see right over here, it is basically snapping on the side. Okay, if you come here and if you want to slap it over here in the center, you guys can basically do that. Okay, so you guys just need to bring your origin, and here it will just snap here in the center, not underneath. Okay, but for me, I will prefer that you guys basically use this particular option itself. Okay, so let's come here, let's go back, and now I will come here and I will use the closets itself. Okay, and I'll also tell you that how you will be able to sort out the problem. So if you come here, click on G. Let's say if I just come here on top, if I just come here onto the border right over here, now if I click on to the G option, let's come here, let's just put this thing over here in one side, and for that, now let's move it up. Okay, so if you want to come right over here, and now let's say I just want to move this thing up. Okay, so now let's click on G, and now let's try to keep this thing one here in one corner. Okay, so now once I have kept this thing here in one corner, what you're going to do is you are going to come here, click onto the closest option, and from here, now if you just select this thing up, and now if you click on G, okay, you guys can see it will basically snap over here in one side. Okay, so if you want to snap quite like this, okay, so come here over here on top again, and this is how you guys will be able to snap. Okay, so if you want to rotate and see how it actually works, okay, so it works like a pillar over here. Okay, so the same way what you can do is you guys can come here. Let's say if you just click on G to move, let's say if I come here and if I try to snap here, you guys can see now I am able to snap the way I want if I want to use all of this as a pillar. Okay, so the same goes with this particular one on top here as well. Okay, so this is how you guys will be able to snap your things all around right over here if you want to do it in any corner. And over here, if you also want to snap through the edges, you guys can come here, select the edge option, and now let's say I will just select this one, click on G, and now here you guys can see I am able to snap on all the sides. Okay, if you want to go outside as well, you guys can basically go outside, and you guys can snap it from here itself. Okay, so you guys can see now you guys can basically snap it here in the line. Let's say if I want to put it right over here, I will be able to put it right over here itself. So now let's come here, and here you do have another option called the face option. Okay, so we'll be learning about that as well. So now over here, let's say you select this particular thing, and what you're going to do is you are going to come here in the snapping option, and if I come here, select the face. Now let's select this one, let's click on G, and over here you guys can see on the face of this particular thing you are able to snap. Okay, so you guys can place it the way you want. let's come here, let's just place it right over here. And that was about snapping here in the face. Okay, so now I hope you guys have understood this few things. Okay, so these were the main ones of how to snap to. And now again I will go to the vertex one. Okay, so I will come here on the vertex option over here. So now if you want to see the view, okay, from all the sides, you guys are able to see the view from all the sides over here as well. Okay, so now let's come here, let's place it over here in one side. Okay, so I have just put this one through the right sided a little bit. So in that case, now there is another useful thing over here is if you come to the snap to option, here you do have an option called align rotation to target. Okay, so I'll show you what is the use of that. So once I on this one, what I'll do is I will just select this one, and now let's come here and let's view it quite like this. Okay, and now if I give this one up a rotation, now let's give R, and from here now if I just give this one up a rotation, and now let's select this particular thing, and over here what I'm going to do is if I click on the G, okay, let's say I will come here, and from here I will turn this align rotation option, and from here I will on the vertex. Okay, so I will come right over here, and from here now if I click on G, okay, once I'm coming here into this particular path, you guys can see it is actually getting selected to the path itself. So you guys can come here and you guys can see it is just snapping over here on the path according to the plane over here. Okay, so you guys can come here, set this one up, and if you want to see the total view how it actually looks, okay, you guys can see the base of this particular cube is perpendicular to the plane base. Okay, so again I will go back, Control Z. Okay, so I will just go back right over here. Okay, so control back, and now let's move this Z axis from here. So I will just move it right over here, and now I will just turn it off back again. Okay, so make sure that sometimes it might be quite confusing if you don't remember that you do have this option on, which is align rotation to target. Okay, because you will be able to try to create some different objects, but you won't be able to do that right from here. So I'll just turn this back off again. So now the most part what I'll be using is I will be coming here and I'll be using the B option. Okay, so I will just click B from my keyboard that I will be able to snap. So I'll be showing you guys also how to do that. So for that you need to make sure that you are in your vertex and your align rotation to target is off. Okay, so now once I have selected this one, I'll click on G, and now I can basically move this thing around. Okay, so once you move this thing around, what you can do is you can just set up a vertex. So if you just click on B over here, you guys can see it had selected an option. So what I can do is I can just select any of this angle right from here. Let's say I will just select this particular part, and now what I can do is I can come here and actually I can just change up the vertex. So come here and maybe place it up here on the right. Okay, so if you want to place it up here on the right, you guys will be able to see that it will basically snap. Okay, so here you guys can see it basically snapped over here, and also on this particular end also you guys can see it snapped, and if you come here it snapped over here as well, and also to this particular end it also snapped over here as well. And if you want to see the view of this whole side, you guys can come here and actually can get the view of this particular thing. So now if you come here and if you want to duplicate any part from here, so in that case there are a lot of things about snapping. So I'm just telling you guys about the very basic. Let's say from here you just want to duplicate this top part. Okay, so for that what you need to do is you need to come here, select this icon, and using the tab key you guys can go to this particular option. Let's come here, and from here let's select the face. So I will just select this top face, and now I will click on Shift D. Okay, so using Shift D here you guys can see now you guys are able to move this around. Okay, so you guys can come here and you guys can basically move this around all from here. And now let's say if you want to click over here, okay, so you do have basically clicked over here, on this particular place. And what you can do is, if I just go back now, if I click on Shift and D, you guys can see I do have this thing duplicated. Okay, so if you want to just move this all along, you guys can again click on Shift D, and basically you guys will be able to move this all along. Or if you want to place it right over here, you guys will be able to place it from here as well. So now, as I have just pasted this thing right over here, again what I can do is I can just click on G, and after that I can basically put it here in any corner. Okay, so let's say if you want to put it here in one corner, okay, or in one of the sides, you guys can come here and you guys can basically use this particular option right over here as well. Okay, so if you want to just view it, you guys can come here and basically you guys will be able to view it from here as well. Okay, so the next way of how you will be able to snap is if you come here, and the same way let's click on G, and after that let's just select this particular part, and this is how you guys will be able to on and off this animation. Okay, so now if you just deselect each and everything from all the sides, you guys can see how this particular model basically looks. Okay, so this is how this particular model looks like. And let's say now if you don't want to snap, okay, so now I will come here, let's select this one, and I'll just delete this one. Okay, so I will just delete the vertices, and from here now, as I do have this option in the edit mode as well. Okay, so from here now, let's say I don't have this snap option on. Okay, so now I will again go and close this one, and now if I just move this thing around, let's click on G. Okay, so let's come here, let's try to select this individually, and if I click on G, you guys can see it will just snap onto the sides. Okay, as my vertex snapping is on, okay, over here on top. So now let's say if you don't want the snapping for temporarily, what you can do is you guys can come here and you guys can basically click on control. Okay, so once you click on control over here, you guys can see on the sides it's not basically snapping. Okay, so it is not basically snapping on the sides over here. Okay, but now if I just turn off, okay, or if I just don't hold the control, you guys can see it is basically snapping there back again. Okay, and now let's say the same way I will just come here, let's place it, and now if I just turn off my snapping, and now let's click on G, okay, so to rotate, and now if I click on control, okay, so now let's say if I come here and if I just click on control, you guys can see it will basically snap over here onto the sides. Okay, so you guys can see it is basically snapping, but over here my snapping option is basically turned off. Now you guys can see I am not able to snap. So I can come here again, I will just click on control and I'll just snap it right over here. Okay, so this was about the pivot and the snapping, and next thing we'll be learning about this proportional editing objects. Okay, so this is icon here, you guys can see there is a small dot circle which is surrounded by a dim circle as well. So for that, if I just turn it on, here you guys can see there are a lot of options: smooth smear, root, inverse square, sharp. Okay, so all of these options are available right over here. So now to make you guys understand about that, I will come here and I'll just delete this particular paint, and from here now again I will click on Alt and G to bring it over here in the center, and now from my keyboard I will go to my numpad and I'll just click on 7 for a top view. Okay, so now from here what I'll do is I will just duplicate this one. Okay, so again for that what I'll do is I will just click on Shift D, and now maybe I will just come here and I will just click on Shift D and I'll just move it right over here as well, and also I will just click on Shift D and also I will just create quite like this. Okay, so again what I'll do is I'll select all of this thing off, Shift D, and now I will just place it right over here, and again just zoom out a little bit. From here what you can do is select all of this, now Shift D, bring it here down. Okay, so come here, bring it here down, again Shift D, bring it here down as well, and also again I will just continue this process to make a cube of segments. Okay, so come here and from here Now I will just bring it out over here. Okay, so now here you guys can see I do have a lot of cubes right over here. So let's change this angle. Okay, so let's come here and let's change the angle. If you want to zoom out, control minus to zoom out. Okay, so let's come here and let's just get this particular view from here. And let's say from here I will select this middle cube which I do have over here. So here you guys can see I do have a middle cube, and now as I do have this proportion on, okay, if I click on G, okay, you guys can see I do have this particular circle right over here. Okay, so you guys can see there is a circle when I am trying to select the cube in the center. Okay, so now once I have selected, okay, you guys can see any changes. But if I just scroll my mouse up, okay, you guys can see now if I am making any changes, all these things around are getting changed as well. Okay, so now you guys can basically use this one, and here you guys can basically do some proportional editing. Okay, so if I'm trying to move this one up, okay, let's say I want to move this one in the x-axis. So here you guys can see the changes in the x-axis, or if you want to change it in the z-axis, you guys can come here and you guys can only change it in the z-axis. Okay, so instead of that, if you come here and if you want to select any proportional size, you guys can come here and you guys can put the exact proportional size. Or the same way, if you come here, let's take a sphere. Now let's select this one, and let's say I will come here, and now I will just take up a sphere. And from here, what you can do is, let's say I will just select this one over here in the center. Let's go with the smooth option. Okay, so you guys can come here and basically you guys will click on G, and you guys can see the changes over here. So the same way I will come here onto the sphere option, and I'll just select this top one, select G, and you guys can see the changes over here accordingly. So you guys can see which one to use. Okay, so you guys can come here, go back or minus as well. Okay, so this is about proportional editing. And now if you come here and let's say you guys can actually use the root option as well. Let's say if you select this one, now click on G, and if you want to move it up, you guys can come here and basically move it up from here as well. And if you want to get a view from all the sides using X, you guys can basically get a view from all the other sides. Okay, so you guys can actually select all of this from here. Okay, so the smooth, sphere, inverse, square, if you want any sharp, okay, you guys can come here, select this one, let's select this, and let's click on G, and now over here you guys can see the sharp changes. Okay, so you guys can come here and let's go with the sharp changes right over here as well. Let's try to move the x-axis over here onto the sides. Okay, and here you guys can see I do have the x-axis moving right over here. Okay, so here in this particular class I have told you guys first about the pivot, and also after that I have told you guys different ways of snapping, and lastly I have showed you guys about the proportional editing objects. Okay, so yeah, I hope to see you all in the next chapter where we'll be learning more about Blender in detail. So take care everyone, see you all in the next chapter. Till then, goodbye.